You know, it's funny that the Guardians season, one series, a couple of games can just completely turn me around with how I'm feeling about this. Yeah, I wasn't feeling good after the Toronto series. You come back, you take 2 out of 3 from the Mariners. Will Brennan smacking some home runs, getting Jimenez back, and you have a near 400 batter in Stephen Kwan. If I live the rest of this way, I'm not going to make it to September. I'm just not going to do it. But watching this baseball team play just gives me so much pride. I am so happy to watch this team play the way that they do. So I got to remember that when I get down in the hole a little bit. Great Allison Chain song. Don't get Bohm started on that. We'll discuss that a little later with Michael Bohm this morning. But when you get down in it, sometimes you got to remember this is still a good baseball team. This is a team that has proven to you over time they're going to be in this thing, and they're going to come back out the other side. I love what I'm seeing out of Stephen Kwan. Can he bat 400 on the season? I've got to look at that from CBS Sports about the last athletes that have had a chance to do that in baseball. We'll get to that coming up. Cavs, is today the day? Now that Ryan's not here, Bohm is with us this morning. I feel like today is the day they're going to hire a coach. Because I ask Ryan every day, Bohm, you think they're going to hire a coach tomorrow? You think they're going to hire a coach tomorrow? So very clearly it was him. Now, I thought it was James Borrego. Terry Pluto's here and otherwise, so we'll get to that. We've got some Browns to get to this morning as well, including, I thought, a really interesting line from Ian Rappaport talking about Deshaun Watson, and we'll run through a list. Browns Digest, the top 10 quarterbacks in Browns history. I like the criteria that they got on that, so we'll run through that. We got the bracket, best golf course in Northeast Ohio. We will announce our winner of our giveaway for the Immaculate Grid that we had the other week. We'll get to Time Up. We'll get to the morning update. We'll get to all of it right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Michael Bohm. Bohm, appreciate you stopping in with us this morning. How's your Friday been thus far, man?
Oh, I'm just getting started, baby.
I know. I'm not an early riser. I don't know about you.
No, definitely not.
I know that from a long time. Bohm and I working together. He and I are a cut from the same cloth. I hate waking. Granted, it's a blessing to wake up every day. Kids will change a lot on that, but I'm not a morning person in any sense. How do you become a morning person?
I think it's just repetition, routine. I'm a total night owl, and I am not on that routine.
Same. I would rather stay up till 2 a.m. than get up at 5 a.m. That's just where I'm at in life, unless it's for golf. The two things I have no problem, my wife would yell at me for this. There's two things I have zero issue waking up for. That's golf and fishing. It is not a 3 and 1 year old. It's not that. But golf, I got a tee time. Hey, boat's heading to the ramp. I'll be up at 4:45. You get me up when you need me to. I'll be fine. So happy to have you alongside here on a Friday. A lot to get to this morning, especially with the Cavs. Like, I feel like today is going to be a really interesting day. Just with they hired J.J. Redick yesterday. A lot of scuttlebutt with there. Dude, shout out to Spencer Davies, by the way. We had Spencer on yesterday. Mentioned Alex Caruso, and he gets traded yesterday. So there's your first domino, as Spencer put it yesterday, to kind of start off some of this offseason things for the NBA. But we still don't have a head coach. We'll get to that. What I do have is a red-hot baseball team, baby. It's game in and game out. I get so tied up. Yes, we've got our boost with Tipico, which we hit everything except Jose home run. So I sent it to Nick already. We're going to run it back with Jose. He's got to hit a bomb eventually. So
he's due.
He's very due. So I'm assuming today will be it. You got the Blue Jays back in town starting tonight. And I do think a lot about where this team is at and just the resiliency that they show. But I thought about this, and you didn't come up with a quick answer, Bohm, so this tells me that's a really, really good question. Who do you think is the best player on the Guardians right now? Right now. Kwan, Ramirez, and then you thought about Emmanuel Clase. We should probably put him in on there.
Yeah.
Bybee, Naylor. Like, we only get 4 options, so I'll leave it to Bohm. You're going to have to pick one.
Naylor's definitely been the big bet. Now, Bybee yesterday. Whoo, boy.
Two straight games of record strikeouts.
Wheeling and dealing.
All right. We have to pause it. I got to move this thing over. So we got a new update here. Like, there's there's like a monitor that I have to look at. And it was on this small setup, and we got a new one, which was great, but I can't, now I'm hitting the camera. Oh, God.
No, we're good.
Are we good?
We're okay.
Did they turn the air conditioning on?
Are you feeling a breeze?
Oh, my God. They turned the air conditioning on.
Whoo, baby.
God. What a day. Thank God. It's been 96 degrees in here. It's been bad. I don't have any pitters yet. We did pitter cam earlier. Oh, my God. They turned the air conditioning on.
Thank the Lord.
Hey, holy cow. Here, I'm going to turn this monitor just a little hair there. Go back, not trip over everything. Oh, now we're dealing, Boom. Now we're dealing, buddy. Yeah.
One of those peek behind the curtain episodes.
Yeah, so we got this new monitor, like a new, and when you say new, I mean it's literally two end tables stacked on one another. I'm going to take a picture of it. Hang on. We get all the best here. I'll edit that later. But I was like, because now I can see Boom. So, you've done this a long time. You've done it with me a long time. You got to be able to look, and the monitor was right in front of Boom, so I only saw like a quarter of your face. So now we're good to go. And the AC is on. This is going to be a great show, man. This is the best part of the day. We got the AC rolling in here, but it's going to be great. So back to the Guardians we go. And I thought about that. So Kwan might get the answer right now just because he's on pace to do something absolutely historic. Now, with that in mind, I went over to CBS Sports because they posed the question, do you think that he could finish with a 400 batting average? You would have to go back to the great Ted Williams in 1941 when he batted 406 in qualified at-bats. Guy comes up for 2 games, bats 400, that doesn't count. And that's the last time that you've had a major league player bat 400. So in a record that is close to 100 years old, more closer to that, 80-odd some years old, I would tell you history is not on Stephen Kwan's side. Here's the closest that some players have had, including, in 2019, Cody Bellinger was batting 404 through 47 games. He ended the season at 305, so didn't even get close. Luis Ariz last year had a run of batting 401 through 78 games on June 24th, Monday. And then he was still at 381 through August 1st, but of course did not bat 400. Then we get into some legendary players that got close to it. Tony Gwynn hit 394 in 1994, but that was also a strike-shortened season. You only played 117 games, and he ended 384, he finished at 394. And then in 1997, he batted 372, and through the Padres' 72 games, he was at 391. George Brett hit 390 in 1980. Ichiro, 372 in 2004. Larry Walker, 379 in 1999. And Rod Carew, 1977, he batted 388. So those guys that in a full season, the best that you got was 390 from George. But I'm not taking anything away from Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn's probably the greatest hitter to ever play the game. So you don't take anything away from that, but that, again, was a strike-shortened season. So then you go to George Brett, 390. The difference is with a lot of these, and the whole reason I'm bringing it up with Kwan, there's 2 ways to go with this. It's either he's batting hot and he falls into what happened to Luis Ariz or Cody Bellinger, is it goes down. What happened with Brett and Ichiro and Larry Walker, they batted better as the summer went on. Because Ichiro went from 323 up to 372. George Brett, through 72 Royals games, was only batting 337. He ascended to 390. And I look at where Kwan is at right now, and certainly he's not qualified. So to qualify, because a lot of people don't understand, you have got to have 3 at-bats for every game that your team has played. So even if you sit out a game, it doesn't matter. To be a qualified hitter, you have to have an average of 3 at-bats for every game played for your team. Kwan will get there, right? He's not there yet because he only has 209 plate appearances in 72 Guardians games. That's a 2.9 at-bats per game average. So he needs like 20 more at-bats over the next couple of games, which you'll probably get as your leadoff guy, a couple of games of 4 at-bats, maybe even 5, and he will then qualify. And that'll be, of course, way and above. And actually, by the way, it's 3.1 plate appearances. So you have to be over 3 plate appearances per games played. So he'll get there. And I think a lot of people have taken interest in this, of watching what Kwan has done to this point. He'll get there. He'll lead baseball by a wide margin. The question is, do you think he can finish this out and bat 400? He's got to not miss any more games. That's number one. Number two, I mean, any hitter goes into a little bit of a lull, a little bit of a downturn, but it's also one of those things that you are going to have to focus on. You don't like to talk about teams or individuals that go after records, right? Like, remember when the Warriors set that win record? They needed to show up every night and say, we are doing this. Like, we actually have a point to want to get the win record. What happened to that team? You know what happened to that team. But Kwan, it's in the back of his head. I know, and I don't know if I like that, Bohm. It's like you want him to go out there and keep doing what he's doing, and it would obviously help the team. I'm not saying for him to go up there and just get hits and not help the team. I get it. I guess I'm really pessimistic about him batting. I would love that. I think it'd be the coolest thing ever if you did something that hadn't been done by one of the greatest players since 1941, Ken Williams, to bat 400. I just got to say, man, that's a long road to go. That's just so much baseball yet to go.
It is definitely my favorite storyline to follow, like individual storylines surrounding this Guardians team, and I'm totally rooting for it. And, you know, it feels like in sports, something historic and unprecedented happens every year. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those things where, even though it feels unlikely, it's certainly not impossible, especially when you're talking about a guy like Kwan, who was, you know, this is only, his third year in the league, and he was still an up-and-coming player who had so much promise and hitting skills. He had an opportunity, so he started off with a great rookie season, then it feels like they kind of adjusted against him, and he went through some woes in his sophomore season, and now he's been able to readjust and adapt to all of the adaptations that his opponents have made, and he's really grown into his own, and he looks like arguably the best hitter in baseball. This guy is the next Jose Altuve, if not more.
Yeah, and he's got a little pop to the bat. I think a lot of people see when he gets on those inside pitches, he barrels balls about as good as anybody in baseball right now. So to watch it, it's a lot of fun. And then how it sets up the rest of that lineup, when you're getting him on, you're opening things up for Naylor and Ramirez. I mean, what a find this guy has been, too. Like, you talk about Stephen Kwan. This was a guy that was a high prospect, but was he not a second or third round draft pick? Trying to find this. Hang on. Okay. Oh, yeah. Wait, draft. Where is it? Hang on. Do you know this? At Oregon State, he sat out 2 months of the season and visited with a sports psychologist to help the mindset thing. That's pretty interesting. I did not know that. Of course, Oregon State, batted leadoff. 5th round. He has a 5th round draft pick. Yeah, good. I could have just Googled that. I was looking at his Wikipedia. 5th round draft pick. What a find. What an absolute find this guy has been. And I said this on the show yesterday, Bohm. Want to get your take on it. I'd try to sign him to an extension today. Like, I would call, like, and it's always that in baseball, we're seeing these more and more young players getting these deals to eat up arbitration, to get some extra years for the team. I'd at least offer it. I don't know if Stephen Kwan would take it, because he might be saying, I'm lying to myself for a big fat payday in a couple of years. He's got 3 more years of arbitration. If you gave him a 5-year deal, took him up past his age 30 season, said, here's $100 million guaranteed, or whatever you want to give him, I think that'd be hard for a player to turn down. And then go back again. I'm assuming at that age, he's still got prime years left of baseball. Like, if I'm the Guardians, I'm getting out in front of this thing. I'm trying to offer him a contract tomorrow. I would. I don't know if he'd take it, but I'd at least offer it. I'd at least have those conversations.
And if you're the Guardians, you really didn't spend a lot of money in the offseason.
That was sorry. That was a shot.
Well,
that was
I mean, that's a legitimate concern too.
Yeah, that's always been their thing.
Have they potentially had, by conserving in this past offseason, are they potentially saving up for another bigger contract to be dealt out? And is it, he's gonna obviously he knows he's gonna be passing up more money, but I guess it is kind of a risk, you know, barring something unforeseen.
Oh, sure, and that's what you're trying to sell him on, is you have a guaranteed contract right here, not guaranteed. Well, baseball is, but like right here in front of you. You don't have to worry about fighting in arbitration anymore, and we get a couple extra years of your service here. I think he likes it in Cleveland, And you also have to believe that this team is going to be competing for the next 5 years. Like, this is a team that has pieces in place. Jimenez isn't going anywhere. I know Josh Naylor needs a contract. You have some young pitching. Like, you believe this is a place that you go. And really, it all starts with Jose Ramirez. It all starts with Jose Ramirez. He was the one that said, I'm going to stay here and allow you to build this team and allow to do really give you the hope and the belief that this can be a team that can compete for years to come. That's an important part of this whole thing, is believing that this team is going to be one that can compete. All right, I want to post this on Twitter, at Matt Fontana Show. We're going to ask everybody, who do you think the best player on the Guardians is right now? And we've asked this question before. You've got Kwan, you've got Jose. Those are 2 locks. Do you want to go Naylor, Bybee? Do you want to put Emmanuel Clase in there? It's a tough one.
I'm wondering if we put in Clase over Naylor.
Oh.
Because Naylor, obviously, he's been the big bat of late.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a few.
He's a little bit like a power hitter, though. He's there and then he's not. He shows up sometimes, then he doesn't, you know?
Yeah, and you look at his average, like he's in what? He's still below 240, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. All right, dude, I'll listen to that, yeah.
Meanwhile, Clase is arguably the best closer in baseball.
Well, and here's the thing. He's a guaranteed all-star. We can't not put a guaranteed all-star on this list.
And then Tanner Bybee, just at least his last couple of starts,
my God,
on an absolute tear.
Thank God he's been pitching well, man.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy, he's striking dudes out.
Yeah,
like,
2 straight games of career high, which has been great.
So
I spoke too soon on the air conditioning. It's not a. I'm starting to hit it now, man. Woo!
They just got to crank it up a little.
They got to do something here. We got to call somebody. All right, post that on Twitter, at Matt Fontana Show, the best player on the Guardians right now. We'll see how that comes out. But when we got to cast our vote, I still got to go Jose Ramirez. I mean, I like what Steven Kwan is doing. And the thing is, both Kwan and Ramirez, who I assume will lead this poll, they're both Gold Glovers. They're both really good at defensively playing, too. It's not like they're just bats. They're good players. So vote that. We'll get it up at Matt Fontana Show and get your vote in on that. All right, over to basketball. I keep asking Ryan every day, is today going to be the day that we get James Borrego? But now all of a sudden, do we turn our attention, maybe have to go back to Kenny Atkinson? Reading Terry Pluto, Cleveland.com yesterday. Here's what Terry is hearing about the Cavs search. He said, number one, many media outlets have been giving the job to James Borrego. But Terry says he's hearing the Cavs could end up where they started with Kenny Atkinson. He said the former Brooklyn head coach was high on Cleveland's list in the beginning. And in his interviews, Atkinson did nothing to change that opinion of the Cavs brass. Cavs have liked him a lot back then, and they still do. What Terry is hearing on Atkinson is that he can bring a fresh approach to the offense. It's all from Terry's article, Cleveland.com. They look at changes with former head coach Mike Brown made after he worked in an assistant with Steve Kerr. Brown was a more defensive-minded coach in his 2 stints with Cleveland to a wide-open, more coach with Kerr. Brown took a lot of Kerr's ideas when he became the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. He's kind of maybe thinking the same thing about, he kind of equated it to graduate school, right? Atkinson was Brooklyn's head coach from 2016 to 2020. He made the playoffs once, losing the first round in 2019. And as Terry writes, it's hard to evaluate him on that, but it's still an evaluation piece. Of course, then he was an assistant with Ty Lue with the Clippers. Then he spent them with Steve Kerr, why we're coming back to Mike Brown. And the Cavs have high regard for both of those coaches. Atkinson has the reputation of developing young players and adding high octane to the offense. I guess I was just so kind of conditioned on Borrego. And then I flip over and I read what Mark Stein said. Per a lot of insiders, it's still projected that the Cavs are going to hire James Borrego. This is from Stein. In the spring's coaching carousel, it's been full of twists, turns, and curveballs, so declarations of any sort have been tricky lately. But as the publication this afternoon, yesterday, League Insiders consultants still project the Lakers to hire J.J. Redick, done, and the Lakers to hire James Borrego. If those teams make the hires this week as expected, Detroit would then have the only head coaching vacancy. And they can go hire Kenny Atkinson. They can go hire J.B. Bickerstaff. He's going to interview for that job. Actually, and that'd be a really great job for him. So it's down to these two. We know that it's down to these two. And sometimes you get that paralysis by analysis. You sit down and you go over things over and over and over again. I get this is the state of your franchise. This is your head coach. You assume Donovan Mitchell's come back, all that kind of stuff. Just go. See, here's the thing. If Kenny Atkinson was your top pick the whole time, and then you felt you were waiting to see if somebody else would knock him off that pedestal, so to speak, and nobody did that, then go with your gut. Okay, I'm not going to sit here, and if they come out with the announcement this morning that it is Kenny Atkinson, I'll be a little confused, but I will dive back into, I believe that was he was probably the front runner from the jump, and that was what the Cavs wanted to go to. So I'll never, well, I don't want to say never, because there's always sometimes mistakes, but like, you go with your gut. If that is really what Kobe Altman wanted to feel, and through these interviews, it validated his feeling, then go with it. Then go with it. This is always going to be a players-driven league. This is always going to be more on Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland if he's here, Jared Allen. It's always going to be more on them than the coach. Offense is the name of the game. You got Atkinson that does offense. You got Borrego that does offense. It's two different versions of it, but you're getting offense back into this team, which is where the Cavs were faltering. I don't think there's a bad hire between those two, Bohm, and I'm fine with either one. But just make the move. Like, I don't know what they're waiting for.
Yeah, and it's interesting to ponder. There's smoke coming from one of them. There's fire from another. And do you trust the local source here, or are you going with what more of the national guys seem to believe, that it is Borrego? And it felt like all momentum was in favor of Borrego until Terry Pluto dropped this report.
That's what I'm saying. Like what?
They've met with Borrego like 3 times, right?
And I know they met with
some
Atkinson
kind of leverage
too.
play?
I don't. That's a great question. I think it's a valid point about there is money to be spent here on this, and maybe they're trying to hammer that. I don't think that's an issue because you know Dan Gilbert, he'll spend on whatever he needs to. I do think a little bit. You know, Kobe Altman has been a GM for a while, and he's been through a couple of coaching things. Like he fired Ty Lue. John Beilein, I don't put that on him. I think that was a Dan Gilbert thing, but I could be wrong. I don't know. So he probably learned from that. And I would say that he knocked it out of the park on JB Bickerstaff. There's not a part of me that regrets them hiring JB Bickerstaff. So if you truly want to look at it from that standpoint and say, of the true coaching searches that Kobe Altman executed and handled it himself, he's 1 for 1 on JB. Again, you want to knock him for Beilein, fine. You want to knock him for Ty Lue. Who replaced Ty Lue as the interim? Was that Larry Drew? Was that him when he said he wouldn't call himself the head coach? He was just the voice because he wasn't paid like a head coach? It was Larry Drew, wasn't it?
I forgot about that era.
Yeah, you forget about that? I tried to forget that, but okay. That, again, that's an interim thing. You fired Ty Lue a month into the season. I don't count that. So it sounds like I'm making excuses for Kobe Altman. I guess maybe I am. But for his true coaching searches, I think he's 1 for 1. So I got to believe and hope that he can do that again. Make the hire. And I guess you could say that there is no rush because there's only 2 jobs open. So at worst case scenario, if the Pistons came swinging in here and stole one of the guys from you, okay, well, then you got the other one. If they are truly split, I would say go and let Detroit make your decision for you. I don't like that. You got to be leaning one way. Kobe's leaning one way. And it's not necessarily this rush to get some of this other stuff done. But now with this Caruso trade yesterday that people are ripping the Bulls for, which, dude, they're in a rebuild. What do you want them to do? The Bulls are such... I'm glad I'm not a Chicago fan. They seem to be an infuriating team. Like, all they are is mediocre at best, and then they rebuild from being mediocre. So they went younger. They get Caruso over to OKC, which I think is a great trade for the Thunder. But now you have your lid lifter on that, and now things are starting to move. I would think you're not moving anybody until you get your head coach in here. That'd be stupid to trade away a guy until you have your coach in place. So get him here, whoever it is. And now you could start focusing on these trades because they're happening. And I still think a good marker for the Cavs this offseason is going to be slide your way into a 3-team trade. One of these teams, another of these teams needs something done. You need to pick this up. Now, a lot of times in a 3-team trade, you have to be a team that takes on a lot of contract, right? Usually the third team in a 3-team trade is somehow eating salary, and the Cavs can't do that. Cavs need to pick a player up. But I think the more moves that happen will always help the Cavs because it's at least greasing the wheels here, and you can slide in here and think about that. But you got to start this. You have got to start your process now. And I think it comes back to hiring your head coach. So we go back and forth day in and day out. We ask, is today going to be the day? Is it going to be it? And I think it is interesting that Terry comes out and he's hearing more Kenny Atkinson. Let's just call that for what it is. That's coming from the Cavs. That's coming from the Cavs. Like, and again, Terry's as connected as anybody. It's what he's hearing. It doesn't mean that it's going to be Kenny Atkinson. It could still be James Borrego. But boom, like, that's obviously something that I think that they're pushing a little bit here to see what, I don't gauge the interest, take the temperature. I don't know.
Terry Pluto is without a doubt one of the most reliable, established journalists in all of Cleveland, not just in sports, but above and beyond that.
Oh, I love Terry.
Yeah, and so I gotta wonder. Certainly, like, this source has to be as close to the decision makers as it comes, but is it a means to lead people astray or to set a false narrative?
Well, here's the other thing. I get that the Cavs have to play a PR game. I don't give a damn what the fans think about the coach. I really don't. I'm putting all my faith into Kobe Altman. Now, there are people that don't like Kobe Altman. They think he should have been fired too. But boom, I've got no choice but to sit here and say, whoever they think is best, I'm on board, man. Whatever they want to do, but just make the decision.
And I wholeheartedly agree with you on, I think there's positives out of both decisions. Like, really, between those two candidates, whoever the Cavaliers select,
they're both fine.
Yeah, they both have head coaching experience. They're both guys who deserve another chance at it because they caught a lot of flack and they were in adverse situations where maybe they didn't get a fair shot at things. And they still seem to, like, exceed expectations despite that. So these are two guys that I think there's a lot to feel encouraged, to feel good about going forward.
To the offseason, all 30 teams, how they can nail their 2024 offseason from ESPN. Chris Herring writes up about the Cavs. The question that hangs over everything, as we know, is Donovan Mitchell. If the answer is yes, the direction becomes clear. Chris writes, the team still has tough choices ahead. Suggestions to breaking up their talented backcourt of Mitchell and Garland or the skilled front court of Allen and Mobley have only grown louder, particularly after Cleveland went on a midseason hot streak, growing more and more willing to shoot and be efficient from deep when Garland and Mobley are both out of the lineup with injuries. Truth be told, the team should explore deals and potentially make them involving Garland and Allen in an effort to gain more depth and spacing. Once that's all resolved, here's an easier decision, the team locking up Evan Mobley on the max rookie extension. There are two things that will happen. Donovan Mitchell, I think, is now staying, and Evan Mobley will get his rookie extension. You turn your attention to Garland and Allen. I am of the mindset you trade away Darius Garland. And it's become stronger for me. If Donovan Mitchell really does want Jared Allen here, then you give that to him. If that's something that he thinks can work, you do it. Because the other thing, Bohm, that I want to say to people that always, again, I'm not saying that now is not a crucial time for the Cavs. It is. If you have Jared Allen and you start to see, let's say that the offseason plays out this way. You hire your coach, wherever it might be. You trade away Darius Garland for a package of whatever. I would hope it'd be a wing, a 3-and-D kind of guy. You then use your 20th overall draft pick on whatever. I think maybe center, front court guy, fine. You start the season. You still have Jared Allen. And the new coach, Borrego Atkinson, the law firm of them, figures out, you know what? This really isn't working with Jared Allen. Boom, they got the trade deadline. And people at that point would be complaining, what? Well, you didn't get enough value. Or there wouldn't be enough trades out there for you. You can still make them. I saw the Cavs in one trade deadline remake half of their roster and still somehow made it to the finals because that's how damn good LeBron is. If you start the season with Jared Allen, then you can still trade him at the trade. Like, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you're not locked in. It's not like he's here for 6 years. You can still make a move in a couple of months. people complain about the value. They'd still say, well, you get more in the offseason or try to get this built up this way or do that. Don't care. You can still make the trade, still do what you need to do. But those are all issues that they're going to have to figure out with the Cavs. All right, let's do this. Let's catch our first break of the morning. When we come back, I want to dive into some football. I think, again, it's a serious thing about Lonnie Phelps if you didn't see it with the Browns. Of course, they were going to release him. There are people, you keep Deshaun Watson or whatever. I've got Ian Rappaport with some thoughts on Deshaun Watson. And I thought this was interesting from Dog Pound Daily this morning. The top 10 quarterbacks in Browns history. There were 4 levels of criteria that they ran through on Dog Pound Daily for the top 10 quarterbacks. I want to run through, see how many recent ones were in there, see if we disagree with any. We got plenty coming up. Our Tipico boost, get signed up with code Fontana150. It's all coming your way next. Fontana Show right here on Big Play.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
It's just that's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
Anthony Schlegel, just how physical he was. You saw the girth and the power and everything he was bringing to the table, especially when he was a nice beefy 255 playing middle linebacker.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
How does an Ohioan build the perfect parlay?
Who's got something? Big guys looking for long odds. The kids in Columbus are covering better than anyone, and at even odds. If it's even, I'm leaving. Listen, our championship DVD starts today, all right? Dude, I just got an invite to a Cincy playoff watch party. Shut up. Cincy, State, Cleveland, the perfect parlay. I'm a genius.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your cojones.
It is Spanish, dummy.
Bet with Typical Sportsbook.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
All right, welcome back, Fontana Show, right here on Big Play. You can always check us out on Twitter, X, at Matt Fontana Show. Drop a follow on our YouTube, or subscribe, I should say, on YouTube. Like the video there, at Matt Fontana Show. Twitch as well, and the Instagram for all the reels, right there with Fontana Show. To the Browns, and a couple interesting things I want to run to. We started with this Lonnie Phelps thing. Okay, so they cut a practice squad guy who got a DUI, crashed into a restaurant. People, listen, I love the guys from Cincinnati, and they're just doing this because they hate the Browns. Like, oh, you keep Deshaun Watson around? Talent has a lot to do with it. That's unfortunately the world that we live in. The Browns had no choice but to make this recourse. If anything, they're upset that they were just in the news. TMZ picked it up. Browns player crashes car on a DUI. You know how many career games Lonnie Phelps ever appeared for the Cleveland Browns, Michael Bowman? None. He's a practice squatter. So they're going to cut him because don't need that. We don't need your practice squad. That's the NFL, man. I hate to tell you. Sometimes that's life, too. And I'm not saying, of course, get a Lyft, get an Uber. That's a terrible thing. And his life will I don't want to say forever be changed by that. Thank God nobody died. Because they said the report, if somebody was on that patio, he would have crashed into people. It was a patio that he crashed into down there in Key West. So thank God nobody got injured. But, of course, the Browns make that move. There's nothing else that they can do. There's really no other comment to make other than they cut Lonnie Phelps yesterday. A couple of things on the Browns side of things, and I start with Ian Rappaport. So he was on the Insiders podcast yesterday. Shout out to Browns Digest. I saw this aggregated from them. And Rappaport said he expects Deshaun Watson to be his old self in training camp and finally pay off that big-time contract that the Browns gave him. I mean, I could jump on that, and I appreciate, that's a great question, too, of who's your favorite NFL insider, like Schefter, Rappaport, Garofalo, Tom Pelissaro, and I like Ian Rappaport a lot. But that's it. We all believe that, right? You all hope that he'll get back to form. And you know where I'm at, Bohm. It's all on this season. But I thought it was interesting about how he said back to his old self in training camp. And that's where it's got to start, right? Where, okay, the first year, you just had this looming suspension. And not at training camp, you knew what the suspension was going to be. So he could not be himself then. Last year, the intense, immense amount of pressure that you're coming off, the 6 games where you didn't look all that good, and the pressure was insane. This year, you would think that it mounts, and it does. It piles on itself about the pressure when it comes to Deshaun Watson. But it's like, I kind of do want him to get out there and just let it, I wish I could remove the pressure from Deshaun Watson. I really could. Because the best avenue for the Cleveland Browns still remains that he is your answer, he's your quarterback, and he goes back to playing the way he did in Houston. That's the best for everybody. It's the easiest. It's the easiest thing for Andrew Berry to deal with. It's the easiest thing for the fans. So whatever you can do to get back to that, I know the Browns are trying. Trust me, they've been searching for that. They've been trying to get to that. But, I just thought it was interesting how he mentioned about training camp and getting back into that and the swing of that. I hope he gets back to it. I think Rappaport was just speaking on how he feels that he's going to come back, but I'm assuming he got that from the Browns. And I will tell you, I think the Browns have actually been, pretty optimistic about Watson this spring. It's limited, it's mini camp, I get it, but it sounds all good about where he's at in the rehab process, where he's at with his throwing, and you get to training camp and try to get back to what you try to reclaim former glory. And when you think about Watson, it seems so far ago, it's not even got to be that level. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even have to be what he did in Houston. Because what he did in Houston, you could talk about him being a top 5 quarterback. I don't need that. I just need him to be top 12. The bar is so low of what I'm asking for Watson that I would just hope that they can get there. But we all got to see how training camp plays out. We flip on over, though. I thought this was a great list. I want to run through it here. Dog Pound Daily. Shout out to Randy Gurzy. He put out his list of the top 10 quarterbacks all time in Browns history. Here were his 4 levels of criteria for selection. Number 1, statistical achievements. They've had to put up some numbers. Number 2, impact on success. Number 3, longevity. And number 4, memorable moments. So those are the 4 that Randy did for the top 10 quarterbacks all time. Number 10, Mike Phipps. 24, 25, and 2, and did not win a playoff game. 0-3 for the Browns in playoff games. So that's Mike Phipps. Number 9, Tim Couch. 22 and 37. Never made the playoffs. Okay. Number 8, Vinny Testaverde. Number 7, Milt Plum. Number 6, Baker Mayfield. 29 and 30, 1-1 in the playoffs. That comeback win on the Jets for Thursday Night Football to unlock the coolers for the Bud Light. All the things with Baker. I'm kind of shocked he was at 6. Number 5, Bill Nelson. Way before our time. Number 4, Frank Ryan. Number 3, Brian Sipe. Number 2, Bernie. And, of course, number 1, Otto Graham. So is that telling Again, like I thought maybe Derek Anderson, but I was a little shocked that Baker was down at 6. But you only have 2 quarterbacks since 1999 make the list. Anything that I ran through there on the top 10 here from Randy that you were kind of like, didn't really see that one there.
I think it's interesting, and it's also just a testament to sort of how cursed this franchise has felt that you got
Joe Flacco didn't make the list.
Right. I guess it's sample size, like one.
No,
season.
longevity was a part of that. Yeah, no, I wouldn't put him in there.
Then there's
I'm just
guys
kidding.
like Brian Hoyer who came to mind, and Derek Anderson was one that I thought too, just because that one season was so magical in itself. Like that, I don't know. I feel like I would take that over Tim Couch and that interesting career. But Couch is a guy that a lot of people thought if he had a better offensive line, he really could have prospered into something at least a little more prominent. But
yeah, it kind of tells you where you're at. Deshaun Watson better make that. Like, that's, again, coming back to Watson, like, you'd like to believe that eventually he's going to make that list.
Certainly not worthy of it yet.
Not yet. I mean, the thing is, he doesn't even have half of his, what does he have, half of a season under his belt in 2 years?
More or less.
6 games, and what did he play last year? 6, 7? Something like that? And a couple of those were injured again that you had to play through. But you know that, listen, he better be a part of that list. He just said damn well better be a part of that list. Back to our Twitter question this morning, which I retweeted, at Matt Fontana Show. Who is the best player on the Guardians right now? This is a 2-horse race as we expected it to be. Kwan and Ramirez separated by about 6%. Ryan, boom. It's Stephen Kwan with the lead over Jose Ramirez.
That really doesn't shock me, Matt.
Really? I'm a little shocked. I went Jose.
When we're talking right now, I mean, Kwan is the hottest hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
Like, if you're giving an MVP to an offensive player right now, Kwan has to, well, I guess he doesn't have the at-bats. If he did, it'd probably be Aaron Judge, honestly, but Kwan has to be, like, top 2.
Well, here's the thing. He has never win it because he's not that. Like, he's not Juan Soto. He's not Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Like, he's not hitting the home. And again, I think Kwan, for being an average hitter, and I'm not talking about average like he's average. I'm talking about he hits for average. He's got decent pop to his bat. I'll tell you this. You want to know the mark that I instantly thought of? If he hit 20 home runs while batted 380, then he's winning the MVP. And what's he got now? 6? I think he's got 5 or 6 home runs.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the realm, but for him to take down a Judge or a Soto, who are still going to bat near 300, but they're going to have 35 home runs.
Judge might have 60.
Yeah, right. On pace for well over 40. It's going to be hard. And then, yes, market recognition. There's a reason Jose's not won it yet. I think that has something to do with here. But still, like, you see Kwan, if he bats, again, we ran through it earlier with CBS Sports. I don't think he's going to be able to get to 400. That'd be an amazing feat, but I doubt it. He bats 360, which at this point you would believe is going to happen. I think he's going to have 20 home runs. And even, I tell you, man, get in the conversation. Get in the conversation. Because the other thing, when you think about the most valuable player, how do you not look at that Yankees lineup and say, well, I would assume Juan Soto's getting helped out by the 4 guys behind him? Guess you could, I mean, here's a positive low. You say the same thing with the guards. Josh Naylor's no sleeper over there. Jose Ramirez, a damn good player. Finally, for Andres Jimenez, man, he needed that home run yesterday so bad. He's been on a slump right now. He comes out of it, then you're really starting to talk about a lineup that can do some damage, which is really going to be fun. So I think he's going to be a big key here for the rest of the summer, talking about Andres Jimenez and where we're at. I did want to bring this up because I retweeted the video this morning. And it was just so powerful to hear Reggie Jackson talking yesterday. So obviously, they were at Rickwood Field to do the game yesterday to honor the Negro League, and then, of course, the unfortunate passing of Willie Mays. And they had Reggie Jackson up there. And I think it was so rightly put by several people for allowing him to speak for 3 minutes about the racism that he faced. And I think we get so lost in a society where, oh, that's before my time, or I don't remember that. Like, it was not that long ago. Reggie Jackson won the MVP in 1973. And he told stories of restaurants saying to the team, he can't come in here. Going to a hotel that said, we will not take your money if that guy's going to sleep in here. Another human being can't sleep where everybody else can. And the power of his team, and he shouted out so many of his players and his manager, I just, Bohm, it's like we have a lot of work to do in our society. I always try to tell myself I think it's getting better, or I think we're trying to turn the corner. And sometimes I'm reminded that we're not. Other times I am reminded maybe we are getting better. But I think about, me as a white man, the power that it was of other people too to stand with. Like, it would have been easy to be like, well, I'm going in this hotel. Sorry, Reggie. Sorry. But we'll see you at the game tomorrow. Like, what he had to face. And then Reggie talked about that, about enduring that. I could never even imagine the anger that would grow in me if I walked into somewhere and they said, get out. No, we won't take your money here. So for him, and sitting there and just dealing, and the people that were around him, and it was not that long ago. It really, in the grand scheme of things, it was not that long ago. So I wanted to just make that as a comment this morning, that I appreciate Reggie Jackson for getting up there and telling those stories, for Alex Rodriguez to answer the question, and for them to give him the time to get that message out. That video needs to be retweeted for a long. People need to watch that video and listen to what Reggie Jackson was saying yesterday, because what he was bringing up, boom, was not all that long ago. 50 years ago was some of the things that he was dealing with as a Major League Baseball, as a human being. We got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. And baseball, to have that event, that to be able to bring light to that, to bring it back up. Obviously some of the moves that have been made to try to, integrate Josh Gibson's stats and all those kind of things, which are very important. I watched that video, and I got to tell you, man, it's extremely powerful. It's an extremely powerful video. So I retweeted it at Matt Fontana Show. I'm sorry, at Matt Fontana 83, a video that you can check out there. And I just thought, dude, that doesn't sound like it's real. You know what I mean? Like, and it just, for as long off as it's been, we still got so much to go. But hearing those stories from Reggie Jackson was extremely powerful yesterday. So I want everybody to go check that out and see it. I retweeted it at Matt Fontana 83. Big news out of the NBA yesterday. JJ Redick finally gets the job with the Lakers. Is he going to be good, Bo? Think JJ Redick's going to be good? He's got LeBron in his corner, which is probably the best start that you could have of coaching the LA Lakers, that LeBron kind of picked you and he's your buddy. The question is, do you think JJ Redick is going to be successful as the Lakers head coach?
I also wonder how much power he's going to have as a head coach.
Oh, I would imagine not very much. Imagine not very much.
Is he, because obviously it's his first time as a head coach as well, is he going to be like the least powerful coach in all of the NBA next season?
No, I mean, here's the thing. Power, I'd imagine like the Detroit Pistons. Like, they have Trajan Langdon there as their president of basketball operations. But like, usually teams will suck, like Monty Williams, right? I assumed that Monty Williams had a lot of power because they gave him all the money, and they were just so bad. To try to get him to come in, they had to give him something. Other than money, you try to give him the power. Redick is so different in that, again, he isn't this vet coach that's got all these accolades behind him. He's taking over a legacy type of team. He's not even the most powerful guy in that locker room. It's LeBron, right? And I could make the case that for the past, I don't want to say his entire career, but certainly the past 15 odd some years, there is nobody more powerful in an organization than LeBron. I know it's supposed to be the president of basketball ops or the general manager or even the owner. And I guess the owner, nobody could ever supersede that. Nobody passes LeBron. So I think the coaches that have had the most success are the ones that understand and embrace that. I think Ty Lue understood that, but he still commanded respect from LeBron, because that's a slippery slope to get onto, is understanding that LeBron will always be more powerful than you, but you still got to gain his respect. It's not about him walking around going, LeBron is the greatest, LeBron's all in. It's yeah, I know LeBron is good. I'm still going to tell him what he needs to do. I'm going to still run sets, and if he screws the play up, I'm going to give him an earful when he gets over to the bench. That is what made Ty Lue so good. Is JJ Redick going to be able to do that? LeBron, I think, takes coaching well. I do. And sometimes he just calls the bull crap when he doesn't like it, right? And that's fair. He's LeBron. But with JJ Redick, the amount of pressure that's on him, not even just LeBron, but the fact that it is the Lakers, I am a betting man on Tipico, boom, I tell you, he's probably not going to work. The odds are very stacked against him. And also, from an expectation standpoint, they're not just trying to make the play-in tournament. They're not just trying to make the second round of the playoffs. This team, those fans are expecting him to take them to a championship. And I think if he does really anything short of that, people are going to be pissed.
And even though I'm not totally sure how much you can actually put on Redick for their full-on success.
That's the other thing. How much credit would you ever give him for anything about that?
And just the personnel. Like, I don't think they have the personnel that it takes for a championship run. Like, LeBron and AD are only going to carry you so far. You know, these guys are getting up there in age too. So when does injury become a concern with that as well?
Yeah.
And I don't know that JJ could do it given the current talent that they have on that roster. So he's already in a tough spot. When you're right, the expectations are championship or bust, but he doesn't necessarily have the ammunition to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that peaked midway through the season last year, and then it was kind of all downhill from there. And is this old veteran squad going to have the gas and the talent to make it all the way to an NBA championship?
Well, and I think LeBron, who obviously has had hands in hirings in the past, I don't know how, I think he was in on Frank Vogel, right? Don't know how I felt about Darvin Ham. But that now ownership that he has of this decision. The Lakers would probably sit down and try to tell you, like, no, man, JJ Redick was really our pick, and he was our number one guy the whole way through and all that. They could sell me that all they want. But LeBron's got to have a little ownership in this, too, that I assume that was his pick. That was something that he kind of whispered, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. He's the guy that I want. So LeBron inherently, I'm not saying he doesn't play hard for Darvin Ham, but that onus on LeBron. But you're right, Bo. He's not 32 years old anymore. There's a limit of what LeBron can do. I saw a write-up that somebody was talking about the J.J. Redick hire in L.A., and they said, this is great for LeBron. This is bad for Anthony Davis. And they just kind of made mention about what here's the thing. You don't even know what Redick wants to run. What kind of offense does he run? You don't know. He didn't have a coaching job prior to this. Now, he's been around a lot of coaches in his career. He's a former player, which I do think is a good mark to have in today's NBA. Like, I'm fine with guys that didn't, Borrego, Atkinson, JB, none of those guys were coaches. Or, I'm sorry, players. But a lot of good, successful coaches were former players. I think that plays into it a little bit. But there's just, I think about that, about the nuances that you will have that JJ Redick doesn't even know about. He sat in meetings as a player. He doesn't know how to run them as a coach. He's going to have to figure that out. He's been on bus trips. He's been on road trips. How do they set the schedule? And I think also his hires of the assistants are going to be very important too. Bringing in some guys that maybe have done it before and lean on them. It's just, there's going to be a learning curve. And you're learning on the job with him in LA, with LeBron, trying to go win a championship. That's a tough way to go. That's a really tough way to go. So they got their guy. That's good for the Cavs. Good. It went status quo. I like status quo things. That helps you with your decisions that are being made. But you still got two guys you got to pick from on the other side. I am happy, though, Bohm. I was sweating bullets. Not even right now because it's 95 degrees in here. I was sweating bullets this week because I thought the Lakers would swoop in and steal James Borrego from us. I really had a fear about that. I did. So I was worried that, but now Detroit has come in as another worry, and maybe Borrego would take that job because he knows Trajan Lang. I don't know, right? But at least that status quo went the way that you wanted it to. That helps the Cavs out with their head coaching search. And, well, search higher because we're coming down the barrel on this pretty soon. All right, let's catch our final break of the first hour, I should say. Bohm's got the morning update coming up. We've got our boost up at Tipico. Bohm, we'll catch that in a second. We'll put on boost is up. I'm going to tell you what it is.
You want to save it for after the break?
You want to do it after? Can you pull it up and get it done? All right, so we'll do the Tipico boost after the break. Fontana Show, check it out. Really, Fontana 150 is the code at Tipico. And you download the app. You can bet all the way that you want, whatever you need to get with our friends at Tipico, and we'll set you up with a nice little primer for that. Here's what you do. You download the app. New customers, you deposit $150. It's a big ask. I understand that. But you use code Fontana150. you will get two $75 protected bets. You hit those bets, you win. You get your money back and you get your winnings. If you lose, no worries. It is a protected bet. You will get the money back into your account with our friends at Tipico. So we'll tell you what the boost is. We'll run through all of that when we return. Other things to note here at Big Play, folks, we bought a horse, and you can be a part of it too. $60 gets you a share with our horse, Lahaina Luck 22. Go to My Racehorse, or better yet, follow Big Play Horse on Twitter. Do we have an Instagram for the horse yet? I don't know. We should get that. But anyway, follow the horse, Big Play Horse, on Twitter, and you will see a link directly to myracehorse.com, and you can buy a share of this horse for $60 gets you in. And what that means is you're in for the whole ride. You are in for this horse they win a race, you're going to get a cut of that. They get sold for a stud fee, you're going to be in on that. And I don't want to alarm people or anything like that. There's still plenty of money. Here's the thing, though. There's $480,000 worth of this horse to buy. Boom, we're closing in on $300,000 allocated already. So again, you still got plenty of time. But here's the thing. We were just doing this and marketing this just for a lot of our Big Play fans out there. They're going to eventually start marketing this on My Racehorse. And this horse has a pedigree. It's got a group of people behind it that helped get Seize the Grade to the Preakness win. It's going to get picked up pretty fast here. So go check it out. My Racehorse, search for Lahaina Luck 22, and you can buy a piece of that horse for $60. We're going to rename the horse too. Does he have a name yet? No, not yet. Lahaina Luck 22. I said Improbable Luck because its dad was improbable, his mom was Lahaina Luck. I said Improbable Luck. So that's my vote on that. We'll get to that coming up. And then also our giveaway for our merch package. We did hit the Immaculate Grid Perfection a week ago. So I retweeted it, and we will get one more of a giveaway for somebody that is going to get a merch package here with our friends at Big Play. So check that out. All right, catch our break. We come back. Morning update. We'll get to our boost with Tipco. Stay with us. Fontana Show right here in Big Play.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
It's just, that's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
Anthony Schlegel, just how physical he was. You saw the girth and the power and everything he was bringing to the table, especially when he was a nice beefy 255 playing middle linebacker.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
How does an Ohioan build the perfect parlay?
Who's got something? Big guys looking for long odds. The kids in Columbus are covering better than anyone, and at even odds. If it's even, I'm leaving. Listen, our championship DVD starts today, all right?
Dude, I just got an invite to a Cincy playoff watch party.
Shut up. Cincy, State, Cleveland, the perfect parlay. I'm a genius.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your cojones.
It is Spanish, dummy.
Bet with Typical Sportsbook.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
let's jump on in. We'll get a little bit of the morning update. Which one, Bo? We think? Wait, is that it? I don't think so. Try the other one.
Yeah, I think he looked like himself.
No, not Stefanski. This sounds right. This is definitely the grid, so I think we roll right into it.
Okay.
No, this sounds like the morning update. I don't know. Welcome back. If you're listening just for the bed, sorry, we're off this morning a little bit. The heat is frying our brains. Like, I asked, like, isn't there like a heat hub? There's somebody used a word that it was like a heat blanket or a heat something over Cleveland right now. Boom, you lived here your whole life. I have too. This is like, I don't know if I've known a stretch quite like this week.
It's been a bit of a heat wave for sure.
Well, yeah, heat wave's the word. That's not, like, there was something like a heat, not rash, not exhaustion been there. Not the movie Heat, good flick, De Niro, Pacino. There's somebody said it's like a heat cap over Cleveland right now. We had no rainfall, nothing, but we'll get through. It'll be all good. Boom's got the morning update. All the stories you got to know. Please take it away, Mr. Boom.
All right, Matt. Well, let's begin with our Cleveland Guardians. So they get the dub.
Well done.
Yesterday.
Well done.
Yes. A great way to close out the series versus Seattle, in which that head-to-head battle is going to become, or that head-to-head record, rather. It could be an important tiebreaker towards the season's end. It could be the difference maker in terms of who gets that one of those home spots in the playoffs and who winds up playing in the wild card series. So an important win. Anyways, Logan Allen getting the win. He's at 8-3.
Dude, thank God. I mean, again, his heat dome. Thank you, Mike. That's exactly what it's called, considering our football stadium situation. It's a heat dome. That is exactly what is over top of Cleveland right now. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. But, yeah, Logan Allen, and again, his start prior to that was very solid. It's just, there might have to be how I'm going to deal with Logan Allen and maybe even Tristan McKenzie, that they're just kind of streaky. Now, you still gave up 3 runs, another home run, which just seems to be the biggest issue with the Guardians right now. But you're able to navigate that, and you got the win. That's all I ask for. It's 2 straight wins for Logan Allen. That's what, just give your team a chance. And then the Bats, dude, you scored, 14 runs over the last 2 games to finish this out, and you still put up 5 in the loss. Keep the Bats hot. Now, tonight, I don't even know who's pitching for the Blue Jays. It's undecided. Is this going to go bullpen game here for the Guards? Is that how it's going to go? Carrasco's on the hill, which, again, just need him to show up, man. I just need a good start. We're going to take the Guards in our boost here coming up in a second, but I don't even know who's pitching for Toronto tonight. You going to go bullpen game? Here, let me search this again. Because I looked on Tipico, and they didn't have anybody. I went to ESPN. They didn't have anybody. That's not it. I really, they have not made the announcement who's starting tonight for Toronto. So it might be a bullpen game. Who knows what it is? But get it done tonight, Guards. Again, I want to remedy that situation of what she did up in Toronto. That series gave me a bad taste in my mouth. That series really pissed me off. So get it done. You're back home. We'll get to our boost here in a little bit with the Guards for tonight. I also love it, man. They had tomorrow's a sellout, by the way. Tomorrow's the 5th sellout of the season already for the Guardians. So you can't even get tickets for tomorrow's game if you want to go. Tonight, I would imagine is going to be close. When's the last time, Bowman, you did walk-up tickets? I don't even do them. I'm so nervous. I get there and I'm like, oh, man, I got to have a ticket or something like that. I can't tell you last time I just walked up and gotten tickets to a ball game.
It's been years for me.
I've
I've
been a long
definitely done
time.
it, but it's been years ago.
Yeah. And now, what's that company, not to give them free promo, but isn't there that company that really markets themselves as like last-minute tickets or something like that? You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't bought a lot of sporting event tickets recently.
What's it called? Game Time. Game Time is what they call themselves. Lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, and you can get last-minute tickets. You want to just go see what the Guardians got for tonight? Here we go. Guardians. Who's your favorite ticket outlet? SeatGeek, Ticketmaster, StubHub.
See, that's a tough one because Ticketmaster, it's practically a monopoly on you have to use
then
it
they
so
got
often.
popped for that. Didn't they get all popped for that?
Well, yeah, they're in a lawsuit.
Yeah, they're in a lawsuit.
But most of
I can get you in tonight for $30. I can get you in tonight $24 upper deck. $24, a little bit of bleacher action. Oh, yeah.
prime position for a Josh Naylor bomb.
Yeah. You know what I really want to go do? They have seats up near that new beer garden. I want to go up there. We took the kids to a game, great experience, but we didn't have a chance to go up there. Dude, God, I'd be dying to go tonight, man. That'd be so awesome. Let me see tomorrow. Now, again, a sellout by the fact that all the tickets are accounted for, but you can go get tickets for $40. You want to go tomorrow. Yeah. All right, man. All right, good for the Guardians. Get down to the ballpark. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just keep asking, man. Take 2 out of 3. I think we get the win tonight. We'll get to our boost in a little bit.
So you mentioned it with the Guardians hosting the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. Now, you talked about Cookie Carrasco, talked about Tristan McKenzie, obviously Logan Allen, a little bit inconsistent. Do you think that starting pitcher is like the one position that the Guardians absolutely must address prior to this trade deadline?
And I'm asking them, Bohm, to go make a trade now. I don't know what they're waiting for. Your price only goes up the closer you get to the trade deadline, which we're approaching about a month out from the trade deadline. The prices will only go up, and you're wasting games by not bringing somebody in now. I'm not asking for a top-level starter. I don't even know if there's top-level guys available. But I'm going to make that trade tomorrow if I can. And I'm asking for a 3 or a 4. And unfortunately, that might kick Carlos Carrasco out of the rotation. But I'm also not one that I'm going to put all my eggs in the basket of pushing it to Gavin Williams, to trying to say like, oh, Gavin Williams will just come back and it's like making a trade. I think that's unfair to put that all on him. So I'm not going to do that. Go get Gavin Williams back and go make a trade. And if you're talking about a rotation of Bybee, Lively, if Logan Allen is on his game, Gavin Williams, and then also another guy, you say, what happened to Tristan McKenzie? I'm about running out of time with Tristan McKenzie, man. I don't know what's wrong with him. And if it's him nibbling, it's the home runs and the walks. If his arm is hurting him, I don't know. Go make it. And if you got to make a tough decision come playoff time between 3 guys of who gets starting a game, that's fine. Right now, there's only 2 I feel confident. Tanner Bybee and Ben Lively. That's it. I need some fortitude here. I need something to step up and somebody to help out. Here's what I think was really happening, though. I think the Guardians want to see Gavin Williams come back. They want to see him back on the Major League roster, facing Major League hitting, and then they will then make a decision on how important it is or how much they need to go make a trade. Because I'm assuming that they might sell us on, and I'm not trying to say that in a negative light, I'm assuming they might push it to say, well, if Gavin Williams comes back and he's pitching to the level that he did as a rookie, that's almost like making a trade. Why go make another one then and give up prospects? I don't know. So I'm assuming once you get Gavin Williams back, you'll have a little more clarity that you might be able to, what they're going to do or what they're not going to do for the trade. So I think it really does hinge a little bit on Gavin Williams.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point, too, in terms of, like, how much are you willing to part with?
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of promising prospects. Are you going to get rid of Chase DeLauder or some of those guys? You do have the number 1 draft pick coming in, but, those things aren't totally related.
No, exactly. Well, you won't see that guy for 3 years. Now, it's even on about who you're taking at 1. Is it Bazana? Is it Condon? Is that Jack Caglione or whatever his name is?
See, that I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this, but I've
we
actually
talked
been
about it
reading up on
yesterday.
that. I was initially a Condon guy.
Yeah.
And now I'm on the Bazana
You're on the
bandwagon.
Bazana train. You buying that they might have to take a value play there, though? They might have to take a guy that's a little less money?
So on brand for the Guardians, but no. Don't waste your opportunity.
Well, here's the thing. I actually don't know if that... I get that it is a factor. I just assume Blitzer's going to take this team over soon and money won't be a problem anymore. Maybe I'm wrong for that. I don't know.
Take the bona fide stud, Matt. No,
Bazana?
this is Bazana or Condon, I feel like you can't go wrong.
I don't think so either.
Bazana seems like the more well-rounded hitter.
They said that he is the more Guardians prospect. Like, if you really looked at what they've done in their history and who they've drafted, Bazana is more of a Guardians kind of prospect guy.
He strikes out way less. He's much better on the road, whereas Condon has struggled throughout his collegiate career. And then also, he's a great hitter outside of the strike zone. He walks a lot more. And then he's great with stealing bags. He's great in the field. This guy's got a powerful arm, so strong that he's being considered to move back to the outfield from second base. So there's a lot of potential, a lot of versatility with him. Like I said, don't want to get too deep into
No,
it.
no, it's very important. I mean, dude, is that not like a week away?
It's July 13th.
July 13th.
A week away, we've got the NBA draft.
The NBA draft is coming a week away, and
Cavs,
the NHL draft, too, is right around the corner, too. So that's what I was thinking of.
Cavs are picking 20th?
20th.
If I'm not mistaken. So are you interested in the NBA draft this year?
I am, just because, obviously, the story is Bronny and all of that interest. But I think the Cavs of picking at 20, there's one of two things that are going to happen, Bo. They're going to draft, I mean, not that they're drafting a guy, we know that. But are you drafting for your team, or are you drafting for somebody else? Do you draft a guy that you actually think could really help your team now or in a couple of years? Or are you drafting somebody that you think you could throw into a trade to try to intrigue somebody else? I don't know. We'll see. I've seen all the names, big guys. I've seen more mocks now that are going guards because, like, I've seen a lot with Kyle Filipowski or that Yves Missy out of Baylor, which that guy is very intriguing to me. He's like 6'10". He's only had 4 years of organized basketball prior to Baylor. He looks like Evan Mobley. He plays a little like Evan Mobley. He can dribble. He can shoot a little bit. If you want to trade away Jared Allen, you go get a guy like him. Filipowski seems more of like that pure power forward type guy. Then there's the Ware kid out of Indiana. I don't want Zach Edey. I'm sorry. No, especially if you keep Jared Allen. But I am very intrigued. To answer your question, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the NBA draft. Just, again, Bronny ain't going to number one in the first round, or does some team do something crazy? I don't know, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And, by the way, this is the first year where the NBA draft is on 2 separate nights, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Which kind of bums me out. I liked it all happening on one night.
Right, and you got to sit there, and Bronny's going to have to stew over the the next night into the. I mean, he knows he's going to go the next day, but still.
Yeah. Now, sidebar, I heard a really funny nugget from Bill Simmons, who was just like, the Celtics should take Bronny ahead of the Lakers and just hold him hostage. Like, he's probably not even going to have to play much because that team is so loaded.
That's the thing. You could take him because Boston doesn't need anything. Like, they're so... That is the ultimate question. Does some team think that they could take Bronny? Did you notice how Rich Paul this week, when he did all that ESPN stuff and was basically trying to, I think, put out some fires, but he also, I was hosting on ESPN this week, and my co-host Mark Zinno had a great thing about Rich Paul. He goes, do you know what Rich just did? He just created a market for Bronny James by saying he's limiting the workouts and how we've done that with other teams before. My job as the agent is to get these guys to the right place. He has drummed up a market for an undersized, above-average defender. That's Bronny James. Great job on his part. Now, the other thing that Rich Paul was trying to do this week was further the narrative that it's not that important for LeBron to play with his son. I call bullcrap. I don't buy that. I think it is important. Now, Bron, after the season, said the same thing. But Rich came out and he goes, basically the line was something like, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I think that's them trying to back this up a little bit to say, hey, we're trying to leave our options open here. So they're trying to put that fire out of a team snooping in, stealing Bronny and trying to hold him hostage to get LeBron to come play there. They're trying to back that up, say, we won't do that. And you know what? I don't think he will. Here's where I'm at. I think Bronny really wants to play with Bronny, but he's not going to go to Detroit. He's not going to go to Boston. He's not going to go somewhere else. He wants to play with him in L.A. And I don't know why it's that big of a deal to just say that. Just say you want to play with him in L.A. Send it out to the rest of the teams. And if you were an NBA team, Bone, would you step in to screw that up?
Now that you mention it about how saying LeBron doesn't want to go to Boston, I agree. I don't think he does.
Right.
At the same time, that could be like the perfect excuse for him to ring chase once more.
One more.
I mean, teaming up with, I don't know how logical it is.
Yeah,
but
no,
teaming
I'm
up
sure.
with
the
like
money, all that. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I get 100% what you're saying.
That would be something.
Yeah. No, and I also think the Lakers, where you gave him J.J. Redick because that's what he wanted, do you then say, man, we gave you this, we're not going to be able to get Bronny here? Or it's just going to be really hard for us to do it? I don't know. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of issues that they're facing right now about what LeBron wants. I think if it happens, Bron is in that mindset. Hey, if it happens, fantastic. If it doesn't, we'll move on.
The one thing that's for sure, this is easily going to be the most hyped up, anticipated second round in NBA draft history.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, so much so that
you're not
going to
have Jokic getting drafted during a Taco Bell commercial like it did a couple years ago. This is going to be a big one. They're going to be zoomed in on Bronny whenever he goes.
Well, also sticking with the NBA, speaking of transactions, Alex Caruso, in the first, as you called it, domino to fall in the NBA ahead of this draft, Alex Caruso traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder from Chicago straight up for Josh Giddey. Now, I guess I want to tie this into the Cavs, Matt, by asking you, do you think that the Cavs, I would anticipate they probably make some free agent acquisitions. Do you anticipate them making any noteworthy trades leading up to this season?
Yes. I mean, I definitely expect Garland to go. Here's when I look at the Cavs roster, who are your guarantees? Let's start there. Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro, I think, Max Strus, most likely. That's it. I see worlds that George Niang gets moved. I see worlds that Karis LeVert gets moved. I certainly see worlds that Garland and Allen get moved. When you look at it just from that, I guess Sam Merrill's not going anywhere. I assume Craig Porter's going to stick around. Ty Jerome, who they just kept around all year coming off of an ankle injury. That's it. So if you take a real doomsday approach to it, you have to make a lot of moves. If I could sit here and I tell you that I really only have 4 guys that I feel pretty confident are going to be here on this roster, you got a lot of moves to make. So I think they do. Now, the Caruso trade, that's the Bulls just being like, yeah, we suck. We know we're going to suck. We're going to get a little younger on this. I just keep questioning, is Josh Giddey really that good? I mean, obviously, we all know what you think of when you think of Josh Giddey. And I know he got found, not guilty or they didn't investigate it any further, but whatever. But, is Josh Giddey really that good? I don't know. Is he going to be that good away from Shea? I don't know. But the Bulls, whatever. They suck. They're rebuilding. They're going with that. They're getting Caruso out of there. Probably doesn't want to be. And I think that is a good move for the Thunder, right? I think Caruso definitely improves that team because they're what? A team that was on the precipice of getting to the Eastern or Western Conference Finals, right? They learned a lot in the playoffs, but they're in this real moment now. You got to mash the gas. Them, the Timberwolves, I think you have got to go for it. Now, the Nuggets, you could probably just run it back and say, hey, we were good enough. It just didn't happen in this series. We feel good about our future. There are teams that are on this teeter. You got close. What are you going to do right now? I don't think you can just go back and fall back on your status quo. You got to go for it. And that's what the Thunder have to do. The Cavs, same situation. You got to go. What you did was not good enough. You got to mash the throttle here and go out there and make the moves that are going to improve this team and also keep your star player happy like Donovan Mitchell. That's what you got to do. So I expect a lot of, I think 3 or 4. And I'll put it this way, 3 or 4 moves that are impactful. I will give you one as being the draft pick. I think the other is going to be a Garland trade. I think Karis LeVert might unfortunately get traded. There's a lot that is on the plate of Kobe Altman. You can't just go status quo anymore. You got to get after it.
All right, well, we spoke about it earlier. J.J. Redick officially becoming the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. I think that unquestionably makes the Cavaliers, it's basically between them and the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
It unquestionably makes the Cavaliers the most appealing opening. You would have to imagine that the Cavs could get their pick of the litter here, and it sounds like it's come down to Kenny Atkinson and James Borrego. Now, with that, though, I want to ask you, circling back to Redick, do you think that being LeBron's coach basically in a major market like LA, is that the most high-pressure head coaching position in all of the association?
Probably. Again, you talk about the Knicks, which is usually a lot of high pressure. Thibodeau's doing just fine. From a market standpoint, yes, and then when you factor in LeBron, absolutely. I wait for the book, Bohm, of LeBron coaches and players that he has gotten hired, fired, and paid. I think they should call the book that, hired, fired, and paid. Because again, he's gotten a lot of players to come with him. He's got a lot of coaches that gotten paid, and he's got a lot of guys that have been on the outs. This is the fun. Think about this. This is probably the last head coach in LeBron James' career. You would think JJ's going to have that job for at least a couple of years, and LeBron's only got a couple of years. So the pressure to get LeBron, let alone the Lakers, but the pressure to get LeBron one more ring, to get him one more, before it's out. When you face, number one, a gauntlet now in the Western Conference, the Lakers are not a good roster, really, outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis. They need a lot of work on that. And, oh, yeah, you're LeBron's buddy. All right. All right. You know, like, put yourself in any situation. It's your friend who is arguably the best player to ever do it. He's asked you to help take his team over here. You want to go get another championship. You do not have a roster in place to go do that at the moment. You play in an extremely hard conference. Best of luck to you, man. And I only got a couple of years left to do this. This isn't a 5-year turnaround plan. This isn't sitting down and go, I think we'll really make some hay in 2028. No. This is now. That's a lot on JJ Redick. And also, I don't want it lost because it wouldn't be lost on me. Bro, you walked away from a cushy analyst, millions of dollars made at ESPN. That'd have been my thing. Dude, he could have rode that for the next 30 years if you're JJ Redick. But he wanted to get his taste of coaching. He can always go back. I also wonder if that's why maybe he wasn't going to do the coaching. He can always go back like Dan Hurley. He can always go back to it. I guess he can always go back to the media jobs. Probably a little easier than coaching.
Definitely easier. I certainly can't knock him for having the itch. It seems like
I don't know, man. Do you like are as a former player, will you always be like, I wonder if I could do that? For me, I'd be like, it's not my thing. I don't really want to do it.
Yeah, I just well,
like,
sure,
to,
I can
like,
see both sides of it.
Like to put it to like kind of what we do, right? And there's a lot of times program directors. Those are usually the bosses of radio and TV stations, right? And I've had people ask me in the past, they go, do you think you'd ever become a PD? And I was like, you know what? I don't think so. I don't know if that really itches me where I scratch. Now, if the right I guess it's like JJ Redd. The right opportunity presented itself and it made a lot of sense, sure. But that's not really, like, that's the closest thing that I have to being a coach, right? And, like, I just probably wouldn't. Now, money, I'm sure he's getting paid a lot more to be the Lakers coach. But I guess you got to have some little inkling to do it, little itch to do it, and you want to see if you can do it. Best of luck to him.
For sure. So moving on now as we put a bow on this edition of the Morning Update now. It seems like every time that I've been filling in as producer on the show, we've talked about Justin Fields, so I figured I would just keep that tradition going.
Talking about the Madden trailer?
No, actually, I read a report this week about Fields seemingly struggling. Now, this is of course the season where you're not wearing pads yet, and everything is going to be overjudged and overcriticized. But according to a local Steelers reporter, Justin Fields, he's been showing a lot of the same tendencies and issues that he had in Chicago in terms of struggling to find open guys after his first read, being too reliant on his feet, holding onto the ball too long. Are you anticipating any sort of jump or a resurgence out of Justin Fields? Of course, he's going to be starting behind Russ.
Right.
But do you think that at some point, because he's still much younger than Russ, like he could be the successor who could
they
be
got to
successful?
give him a crack at some point, right? Like, you eventually got to put him out there. Boom. You're an Ohio State fan. I'm Ohio State. And I believed in Justin Fields. I wanted him to come to Cleveland bad. I think this is your reset year. Arthur Smith is a good offensive mind. And maybe the year off of just backing up and maybe getting into a couple of games here and there, you see how it goes. I wanted the Browns to take that crack. I wanted to, especially as just an insurance policy on Deshaun Watson. But man, that is so hard to do. That is so hard to do. To just reset somebody completely. Just to say, you have had all these issues. You've had all these tendencies. We basically need to break you and rebuild you back up. That's not easy to do, but it's also not quick. It takes a long time to do that. And, I mean, again, they're going to try really hard, but it's not easy to do. So I hope and I believe that he will get it done just because I want to see him. I want to see him be able to do it. But not in Pittsburgh. I don't want him to be successful in Pittsburgh. But nonetheless, I'd like to see him be successful.
Yeah.
I would. I want him to come here back. Can they do it? I don't know, man. That's a tall task. I'll tell you that.
I'm one of those people that, and you're right, I never want to see Pittsburgh succeed, but I'll root for Buckeyes no matter where they play. Like, Santonio Holmes was a great example of that.
Yeah.
I was so happy for him when he made that catch in the Super Bowl that will forever leave him living in Steelers lore.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I hated that the Steelers won, but I'm still rooting for the Buckeyes. I still want to see Justin Fields find success. We know what he was capable of. We know he's a great teammate, great leader.
Yeah.
But I digress, and that is today's morning update.
All right, I love you. Want to jump right into the grid, Boom? Here we go. Immaculate grid today. We already screwed the week up, so we didn't do perfection. We did it a couple of weeks ago. We dive right into the Immaculate Grid. You know how it works. Up and down, left and right. Our statistical category, 3,000 passing yard season. Give me my timer going. Go! All right, Alex Smith. You want to do that, Washington?
Okay.
Yep. Because he didn't play those other spots. Yeah, I know which
two
one.
Alex Smiths.
Yeah, which one? Or give me the years.
Through 2020, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's him. Oh, wait, it had to have been the other one then. Click the other one to see. Wait a minute. Alex Smith never had a 3,000-yard passing season?
Joe Theismann?
What? That can't be true. You know what?
He definitely did with KC.
I wonder if it has to be with that team. You know what? I think you're right. I think it's got to be with that team. You're right.
Starting out pop, baby.
All right. All right, so yeah, Joe Theismann. Give me Cam and give me Patrick Mahomes for the other two. So don't put those in.
Should we do Theismann?
Yeah, go Theismann. It's fine. Okay. So now assume those other two were our screw up. No, don't put them in because then we can't fill the rest of it out. So just give us that we got the other two, right? Because you know it'd be Cam, you know it'd be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Washington, Arizona, Washington Colts. Pierre Garçon, Washington Colts. Does that not work there?
That sounds right.
I think so. Go with that. Pierre Garçon. Right there.
Cool.
Well done. Yeah, just open anything. Yeah, anything that you're feeling right now.
Did Adrian Peterson play for both?
I think you're right. It sounds right to me. Go Adrian Peterson. Again, got to pick. Yeah. Good job. All right. Colts Chiefs. Something's speaking to me. Colts Chiefs, but I don't know what it is.
Justin, defensive lineman Justin Houston.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. Yep. Right?
I think so.
I definitely know him in Kansas City. Nice, Bohm. Nice. All right. Yeah, you want to finish out KC Cardinals?
The Honey Badger.
Oh, yeah. Tyrann Mathieu. Well done. Well done. Tyrann Mathieu is correct. All right. Panthers, Colts, Panthers, Cards. Rondale Moore? No, he's still in Arizona.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks. Josh McCown?
I was just...
Cardinals. Yeah. Right? Cardinal. Yeah. Josh McCown definitely works there. All right. One more to go. Colts, Panthers.
I want to say what's that?
Frank Reich. Oh, wait, no.
That
coaching.
The cornerback who also played for New England, Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore.
Was he?
Yes, 100%. Yes. 100% yes. That's near perfection for us because we would have got the other two. Well done, Bohm. That's how you wrap up with.
Pesky Alex Smith.
I know, that's not our fault. 3 minutes done and done. All right, let's catch our final break of the morning. When we come back, we're going to dive through Time Hop. We will announce our winner of our merch giveaway for hitting the grid last week. Wrap some things up. I've got something from Chris Fedor talking about a Darius Garland trade, and we'll get to our boost. We'll get to the bracket, wrap things up, and send you on your Friday next. We'll do it right here. Big play. Stay with us.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
It's just, that's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
Anthony Schlegel, just how physical he was. You saw the girth and the power and everything he was bringing to the table, especially when he was a nice beefy 255 playing middle linebacker.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
How does an Ohioan build the perfect parlay?
Who's got something? Big guys looking for long odds. The kids in Columbus are covering better than anyone. And at even odds. If it's even, I'm leaving. Listen, our championship DVD starts today. All right?
Dude, I just got an invite to a Cincy playoff watch party.
Shut up. Cincy, State, Cleveland, the perfect parlay. I'm a genius.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your cojones.
It is Spanish, dummy.
Bet with Typical Sportsbook.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
Oh, welcome back. Sorry, I thought you were gonna do time up. I'm DMing our winner. Sorry, no, hit the time up. Welcome back, Fontana Show, right here on Big Play, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, all of it. And congrats! I don't want to announce the winner just yet. I had to DM our winner for our merch package. I was doing that. All good. Welcome back, Boom. Let's get to it. A little bit of time hop. All right, let's get on into it. We head on back this day in history on the 21st of June. What do we got, including 2021? Deshaun Watson's lawyer announcing that all but 4 of his civil cases have been settled. Now, boom, a week prior, Watson said he was not planning on settling. Just a week later, all but 4. I think he still has one pending one or something like that. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Whatever happened, it's between him and the victims in the case. And if the victims took this settlement as the closure for them, then I have to accept that as closure too. I was not a victim in the case. That's between them and their lawyers and their representation and the people involved. And if they took that as their settlement, as their restitution for it, doesn't mean I don't feel good about it. It doesn't mean that I'm, whatever. But that's how it goes. I just remember he was like adamant they were not going to settle and they were going to take this to court. And then a week later he says, no, I'm going to settle.
Yeah, I think in this circumstance, like when you cover the team or when you are a fan of the team, you just really have no choice but to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
And so just hoping for a great season this year, man.
That's all you can ask for. 2021 as well was announced Brooks Koepka had left for the Live Tour. You're not huge into golf, but
I mean, I love playing it.
Yeah.
I do follow some of the storylines. I saw Bryson. And
yeah.
that just historic collapse from Rory.
Well, that, but then also like him walking around the Nashville carrying around the U.S. Open trophy. I love it. I was going to ask you, though, which guy that left for Live bothered you the most? For me, it's probably Brooks.
Well, he seems like he seemed like a very traditional player in terms of respecting the PGA.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of a surprise.
I guess Rahm would probably be the answer. Like maybe because he was the most, like the one who it sounded like he was all in on the PGA. And then he got that check and he goes, wait a minute, never mind. Like of all the guys that left of Live, Brooks, and I guess Rom would be the two. They took some guys that I did not care about. Take Bryson DeChambeau. I'm a hater, and I know that I'm wrong for it. All Bryson has done is prove that he's a good guy. He cares about the fans. He's electric. I get it. I know I'm the a-hole and in the minority. I don't like Bryson DeChambeau. Dustin Johnson, fine. Phil, go. I hate Patrick Reed. Take him. Don't want him. Everybody else, I was like, Brooks and probably Rom are the two that left that I'm kind of like, wasn't a fan of, but he left this day 2021. This day 2018, the NBA draft. Do you remember who the number 1 pick was in 2018? It's a tough one. It's not
one of those.
It's
Is he still in the league?
not an easy one.
Is he still playing?
Yes.
Markelle Fultz.
No, good guess, though. DeAndre Ayton goes 1. Marvin Bagley goes 2. But here's the story. Luka Doncic goes 3 to the Hawks. Traded on draft night to the Mavericks, who took Trae Young. Bet they regret that one.
3 teams there with just astoundingly bad decisions in hindsight.
Jaren Jackson goes 4. Mo Bamba goes 5. Wendell Carter 7. Cavs took Colin Sexton 8.
Young Bull.
Kevin Knox 9. Mikal Bridges goes 10. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander goes 11.
Do you remember that there was that report that he told Cleveland not to draft him?
Yes.
Yes. I was a big SGA guy.
I wanted
so
it bad. And he said, I don't want to go there. Obviously, probably has worked out for the Hornets pretty well. Dante DiVincenzo was a first-round pick. Grayson Allen, another first-round pick. Mo Wagner in this first round. Jalen Brunson, 33 overall in the second round in this draft back to 2018. Wow. Who else? Did the Cavs have another pick? They took Colin. Hang on, let me see here. Team. Colin Sexton was it. That was our only pick in that draft. They moved everybody else. Or no, that's it, right? Oh, no. Clippers. You know the Clippers took our pick and got Miles Bridges at 12? So look at the Cavs' interest in the draft this day, 2018. That was it, man. So Colin Sexton was it. You do look at some of the misses on this one, though. You can do that a lot of drafts, but imagine passing up on Luka for DeAndre Ayton. Or probably even worse, Marvin Bagley, the second pick. And then what the Hawks did, trading him away.
You freaking drafted him, and you trade him for Trae Young?
On the night of the draft.
Excuse me?
What? And then again, you could look at the teams that gave up on, or didn't draft Shy either, and passed all the way down to 11. So that was the NBA draft this day, 2018. This day, 2012, Heat beat the Thunder 121-106 in Game 5 to win their title. That was, of course, LeBron's first championship, his first one in Miami, but not the most important one to him in his career. And I'll stand by that for a long time.
Were you upset with that Heat title, though?
Yeah, I mean, no, because the fact that the Mavs beat him in that first year, that gave us vindication. After that, I didn't really care. I probably say that now, but a decade ago, I was probably singing a different tune.
I was still resentful at that point. I was not happy that they won.
Well, if I had to say a pitcher in Indians history that could rake, that could hit at the plate, who would you think of?
CC Sabathia.
Hit his home run off the Dodgers, 7-2 this day, 2008. That was his second career home run, and improved his career average to 342 plate appearances for Karsten Charles Sabathia this day, 2008.
Legendary
Josh Tomlin could hit a little bit. Do you miss the pitcher sitting?
I do.
Oh, do you?
I don't know. I like it as a unique wrinkle. I think that the NL did the right thing in terms of getting rid of it, but I loved pitchers that could hit.
Tomlin could do it a little bit.
Yeah.
Dontrell Willis always wanted. Trevor Bauer always wanted to hit, but I feel like he wasn't very good. Madison Bumgarner could hit. He could really hit. See, I miss that a little bit. I do, but I think the game is better because it was like you knew it was an automatic out. You had guys up there bunting. Now, if you had more guys like Shohei, I'm all for it. Because mention that Jack Caglione guy for the Florida Gators, he pitches too. Now, they know when he goes to the minor leagues, he's done pitching. He's not going to pitch when he gets there. Like, he's good, but not good enough to be a Shohei. So he ain't going to pitch when he gets to the minors. Draft him off of hitting. But I would say, yeah, there's a little element of me that misses it, but not that much. This day, 1997, the WNBA debuted. Cleveland Rockers' first home game. They fell to the Houston Comets, 75-56. There's a lot of discussion, clearly, about expansion with a lot of these teams now. Do you think we should bring the Rockers back?
Absolutely.
I'm with you, man.
Keep the name, too.
Okay, I will admit, of all the guitar bull crap that we go through in this town, the Rockers were fine, and their jerseys were cool. That's it. No more guitar crap. And Bowman's a guitar player.
I am biased.
But are you not sick of the logos and all this other kind of... It wears thin.
It's become cliche. I still think there's a way to use it, but it has become cliche.
Now, but the Rockers still work. And if they want to expand, bring it on back. This day, 1986, Bo Jackson signed with the Royals after he was the first overall pick in the NFL draft. He and Dion probably the best two, right? As far as being to do meaningful baseball and another sport. Like MJ didn't do much in the minors. Okay, fine.
Didn't even make it to the majors.
Didn't even make it to the majors. But Bo Jackson was an all-star. An all-star in baseball, and he was that. Do you ever see that video of him talking to Adam LaRoche's kid?
No.
They're like working out in spring training, and Adam LaRoche, like former Royals player, and Bo Jackson's talking to his kid, 11, 12 years old, and he had no idea who he was talking to. Like, he knew Bo Jackson, but he didn't know who Bo Jackson really was. So he's sitting there and he goes, "Wait, you played football?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he's like, "And you were an all-star in baseball?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah." And Bo kind of like nonchalantly explaining how good he was at both sports. It's a funny video. If you're ever bored, to go look it up. It's a pretty good one. Speaking of switching sports, this day, 1971, Indians pitcher Ken Harrelson retires from professional baseball to become a professional golfer. He spent 3 years as a pro golfer, qualified for the British Open in 1972, but he missed the cut by one shot.
Almost living the dream.
I mean, that's the thing. You got like John Smoltz and Tony Romo and all these guys that retire. Like Steph Curry said he wants to go to the Champions Tour when he's done. What a life that must be.
Yeah.
Go down and be like, and again, to do that, there's a funny story from Jimmy Hamlin. You know Jimmy as well as I do. And Jimmy told me a story that he had a golf coach one time. And he had this guy, just some random guy. And he walks into my shop one day. And he goes, "I spent my whole life working. I've got my money. I'm retired. I want to make the champ. I want to make the seniors tour. And I'm ready to spend any amount of money and as much time as I need to make it to the Champions Tour." And this coach goes, "Yeah, that's a great goal. That's awesome. I got two other guys that are trying to do the same thing. It's Tom Watson and Tom Kite. Major champion, and they're trying to do the same thing. So best luck. Shill your money out all you want. Lay it on the line and try to go. You probably still ain't going to make it, man. But Steph can play. Steph is pretty good. So I wonder if he'll make it. This day, 1893, the first ever Ferris wheel opened in Chicago. It was invented by George Washington and Gale Ferris Jr. That's where we get the Ferris wheel.
It's a long name.
Yeah. You ever do the Ferris wheel?
Maybe when I was really
young.
young.
Like when you were a kid or something like that. Teenager, you know what you want to do, get up there and do that. It's fine, whatever. I go to Cedar Point. That's just like I need a break from everything a little bit. Ferris wheel doesn't quite do it for me. We're having a debate, Bowman, in the Fontana household. Do we take the kids to Cedar Point? Now, you would instantly say yes, and we all love Cedar Point. They're 3 and 1.
Maybe too young to appreciate
That's
it
what I said.
point.
Like, I said to my wife, I go, maybe we take the 3-year-old and just take him to Snoopy Land. And I told her, because we used to have this season passes. And I said in a couple of years, we'll get those back. And because we'll go enough, and all you got to do is pay for parking, and it's great. Actually, I think you get parking for free. You do when you get a season pass, I think. So I said, that's fine. I said, but we're just going to have to take him to, like, the Snoopy world. And I go, we have to accept when we walk through those gates, we're not getting on Steel Vengeance. Maverick is out of the dream. Like, we're going and that's fine. But, like, yeah, you'd like to get, like, 10 years, it'll be fine. Then he can go on the coasters and do all the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, a 3-year-old at Cedar Point, is that worth it? We'll have to figure it out. This day, 1788, the U.S. Constitution was ratified. Probably important. This day in history for it.
You would think so.
You would think so. Very happy birthday goes out to Frank Vogel, Richard Jefferson, Scotty Scheffler, Prince, soon to be King William, Chris Pratt, Lana Del Rey, who I know you're a big fan of.
Yeah, baby. Shout out to Lana.
And Rebecca Black, all celebrating birthdays.
By the way,
today.
Lana sold out Fenway Park last night.
That is pretty damn impressive. Pretty impressive for her on the birthday side of things. All right, before we get to the boost, before we get to our winner coming up, I want to bring this up from Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. I just saw this. Apparently, the Cavs have a high asking price for Darius Garland. Sources tell Cleveland.com that any team asking about Garland has been turned away thus far, being told the asking price is high despite Garland coming off a dreadful season and chatter about his camp looking for an exit strategy if Donovan Mitchell re-signs long-term, the current league-wide expectation. Are you buying that? And then Matt Moore of the Action Network says, Garland, the Cavs have no urgency in trying to move Darius Garland right now. Do you think that's just them trying to drum up, like, you know, a trade package? Or is that, hey, until Donovan Mitchell re-signs here, we don't know if he actually is?
I think DG has just become such an unknown at this point because we've seen what he's capable of, but after that injury, he was never consistently the same. And it's just a matter of, like, how much was the injury and coming back and recovering from that? How much of a role was that in his performance?
Well, and then the other thing is, does Donovan Mitchell feel like he can play alongside Darius Garland? He's apparently got Jared Allen's back and wants to play with Jared Allen. Does Donovan Mitchell sit there and say, I can make this work with him? Like a little LeBron Kyrie, don't trade him away. I can make, this work. Is that what Donovan is doing? Is he going to the bat? Is he going to bat for Darius Garland, trying to tell the Cavs, don't get rid of him, I'll make this work? I don't know. I really don't know.
Now, even when they were both healthy and playing at their best, would you even say that they did work well and effectively? Because it felt like at times they were better when one of them was off the court.
Yeah. No, and I think that's probably the Cavs trying to decide which is the truth. In this whole thing of the advanced stats about who's on the floor when or who they're facing and all that, what is the actual truth? What is the right version of this Cavs team? The big misnomer here, the big unknown is who's your coach? If JB was still here, you would probably have a better idea of what would work and not. You're trying to look at stats of a prior head coach, apply that to Borrego or Atkinson, and how are you going to do that? I don't know the answer to that question. I really have no idea. So that's the tough thing about what Donovan sees as the right fit, what the head coach sees as the right fit, and you got to make your move off of that. That's a tough go for Kobe Altman. Not going to be a tough go for the Guardians tonight. Let's get to our boost. Boom! Yeah, let's go, Guards! Come on now. Kwan, 2 hits, does that rolling out of bed. We're going to run with Jose, and we will get to Guards money line. Is that the wrong boost?
It's the wrong boost.
That's fine.
Hold on. I got
It's
this.
a different graphic. You had the other graphic.
Yeah, I see what I did there.
That's all good. All good.
We got
Stand
it up
by.
now. This is the correct
Is that the
one.
correct one? There it is. Kwan hits, Guardians money line, Jose home run, plus 1,500. Folks, use that code Fontana150 when you sign up at Tipico. You deposit $150, you get 2 $75 protected bets with that code for new customers only, and you can be betting on our boost, NHL tonight, Stanley Cup, let's go. Panthers maybe close it out. Place your bets, you get your bankroll, and you'll be on your way to the cashback rewards with our friends at Tipico, the best cashback in the industry. There's no joke about that. They are the best cashback in the industry. So get signed up with our friends at Tipico and get it done tonight. I already placed my wager on it. Let's go. NHL, you like anything tonight?
I think I'm going to take the Panthers to close it out.
Close it out tonight. Close it out tonight. So get your bets there with our friends at Tipico. Want to announce our winner, Jay Bobcat on Twitter. Shout out to him. He retweeted and follows at Matt Fontana Show for our winner for the merch package. So we're going to get that in the mail. Folks, we're going to do a lot more of these. Any week that either Bohm or Ryan or myself get the perfect immaculate grid, we will do a giveaway. We're going to do that for as long as we can. So shout out to J Bob on Twitter. He will get that merch package. We'll get it out to them. So I appreciate you following and appreciate you following at Matt Fontana Show. Drop there. Final thing, Bohm, our winner for our bracket, the best golf course in Northeast Ohio. It's going to go to Sleepy Hollow. 34% for them, 28% for Manakiki, 20% for the Quarry, and Fowler's Mill rounds it out. So Sleepy Hollow, I'd love to go play golf. I haven't played golf in forever right now.
Yeah,
I'm dying.
I'm a little
jealous
rusty,
and I'd love to go to Sleepy Hollow. That'd
do
be
miss the
fantastic.
links.
I do. We'll get back out there. And we actually, can't make that announcement just yet. Cannot make. Actually, we're priming up for some big announcements on several different fronts right now with Tipico. Well, not Tipico. Well, they'll be there. But some big things coming here with Big Play. It's not just a bad pun bone, but it is what it is. We have a few major announcements coming, including a new way for people to watch and consume, and an event that we can all, I think you probably surmise exactly what it is. Boom, really appreciate you coming in today, man. It was awesome. I appreciate you filling in this morning for Ryan. We're going to end a little early just frankly because it is 97 freaking degrees on here, and it's a Friday. So we appreciate you joining us, following at Matt Fontana Show, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Have a hell of a weekend. For Michael Bohm, I'm Matt Fontana. As always, take it easy.